blessing of living with 4 other guys in college. And we shared a house, and we only had 1 restroom, but somehow we made it work. Kind of stank in there, but it's okay. Yeah, Gabe understands. He's in college, so
he knows 5 guys.
So he knows. Okay, there we go. But it's not the best environment, but we had fun. But I had some weird kind of friends. They were kind of goofy. They were all good Christian guys, but they were all a little off in some ways. But I got a phone call from one of my friends named Jason, who called, and I answered the phone, and he was like, "Matt, come quick, the house is on fire." And I was like, "What? The house is on fire?" He said, "The house is on fire. Hunter is burning down the house. Come quick, the house is on fire." And so, you know, I'm studying, so I run home, and I look out in my yard, and there's 2 fire trucks, one parked up on the lawn. Okay, and then all the neighborhood has come out to witness the fire that is happening at my house. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I choose to live with these people? They're idiotic, and now probably all my clothes are ruined. And so I walk in the house to see the damage, and thankfully only the kitchen was a little burnt. Only the cabinets were a little burnt. A couple of cabinets were ruined. And so that was definitely a blessing. But the problem was, what happened was my friend Hunter, who's kind of, let's just say, clumsy or absent-minded or experimental, you know. But he tried to make falafels. And falafels. I don't know why he wanted to make falafels, but he wanted, they're kind of like pancakes, I think. I've actually never eaten a falafel. Am I right? Pancakes, right? I don't know. But I didn't get a chance to eat them because, you know. But he was trying to make falafels, and falafels require grease. Okay? But accidentally, Hunter, I don't know how it happened, but he started a fire in the pot. And it was a grease fire.
In a pot?
It was a grease fire. And Hunter, thinking, well, what should I put on this fire?
Water.
Water. Water. Ooh, yeah, let's put water on this. But actually, water is one of the worst things that you can put on a grease fire. Has anyone put water on a grease fire before?
I know that.
Okay, what happens?
It spreads.
It's like an explosion. Okay? And the fire is 10 times bigger.
Yes.
And it's just crazy how fast it spreads. It starts spreading all over the cabinets. And Hunter thinking, oh my goodness, this fire is more than I expected. I better put on more water. Okay, so he kept doing this, and the fire was just crazy. And Hunter didn't know what was going on. He was just freaking out. Okay, he was in the corner, just in the fetal position, just crying. No, I wasn't there, but I'm sure that was probably the case.
That's horribly funny.
But anyways, my other roommate, who must have been taking a nap or something because it took him forever to get there, but he was just like, okay, what's happening here? And I was like, it's a fire, it's a grease fire, I don't know what to do. And then my roommate was like, well, we have this fire extinguisher. And it puts out fires. That's why they call it a fire extinguisher. I don't think he explained it in that much detail, but he took the fire extinguisher and put out the flame, and he's awesome. You know, Michael put out the fire and saved the day. It was Michael Baker, actually. He was in college with me at the time. But it was good because Michael was prepared. He was prepared for that desperate time. Okay, and Hunter was not prepared. At all. He did not know that fire grew grease fires. He thought water stopped grease fires. That's what I was saying. But Michael knew that a fire extinguisher was the only thing that would put it out. So that's what he used. But my lesson today is actually just, it's about how Jesus and us are to seek familiar measures when we're in desperate times. Does anyone know when Jesus said this? He says, if you are willing, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done.
Wasn't that when he was praying in the garden? I think.
That's right, that's right. And when was that? Right before what?
He was taken away to be crucified.
Yes, he was about to be taken away to be crucified. He was about to be killed, right? Okay, and first, let's think about this. Jesus is fully God and fully what?
Yeah.
Fully man, fully human. And so, if he's fully human, he's experiencing the same dread that we would be feeling, right? Okay? How would you feel if you knew? Because Jesus knew. God he knew. We see it in other passages in Scripture, but Jesus knew that he was going to die. And he knew that it was God's will, but how would you feel if you knew you had to die?
I'll be depressed.
I would feel kind of sad. I feel really like I don't want to do this at all. Please, God, any other way, please. Okay, it says Jesus was sweating, and his sweat looked like big drops of blood. It wasn't drops of blood, but it looked like drops of blood, and they were just huge. All right, so it showed that he was just nervous about it, and that's a natural human tendency. So he was experiencing. It wasn't just that. Oh, I'm God. I can deal with this. No, he was fully human, so it was intense for him. All right, and then he knew that it wasn't going to happen, but he did. He decided to. What was the last phrase in the text? Yet not my will, but yours be done. Yet not my will, but yours be done. How many of you would be willing to say that if God asked you, said, you're going to have to die tomorrow. I'm sorry. This is just my will. This is how I can help the world if you die tomorrow. That would be hard. That would be really hard. And I know some of us, on a good day would say, oh yeah, I got it all together. If God told me to do whatever, I would do it. But I think most of us on a normal day would say, I don't know if I would do it. I don't know. I think I would have probably run away. But Jesus waited in the garden. He waited for his captors. So Jesus came. So what made Jesus? What made Jesus want to seek God's will even in that moment? Anyone know? Now he's fully human. And he's fully God, but to be fully human, he was prepared to say, yes, God, your will. So how did he prepare himself for that place, for that desperate time? Prayer. Okay. More specifically, do we know what Jesus did? I have a lot of verses. Luke 2:41 through 52, Mark 1:35, Mark 6:40. You can look them all up. But Jesus, when he was doing miracles, and Jesus doing all these miracles, and he had a huge following, a huge following. He was so popular. Everyone came out to see Jesus because he was a healer. He was doing great things, and he was teaching awesome things. What did he do? A lot of the time. Anyone know?
Spoke of God.
He did speak of God, but anyone know? I'll tell you. I got one. He went away. He went away. He departed from the crowds. He escaped from the crowds to be with God. A lot of times he went up to the mountain. He just went into a deserted place, a place where no one else was around, to be with God, to pray to God, to talk to God, to listen to God, to experience God. Jesus did that repeatedly in the easy times, when he was the most popular person to be. When everyone was calling out his name, saying, yes, he's the Messiah, he's awesome. He went away and spent time with God. And this doesn't mean that he just did a bunch of things like he prayed, he read the Bible. No, Jesus spent time with God. He recognized that God was with him, and he talked to God and experienced God. He let God do the talking sometimes. And Jesus did that. So when he faced that desperate time, he was ready. Why was he ready? When you're with God, what happens? When you spend time with God intentionally, what happens?
You get fulfilled.
You get fulfilled, yeah. You get transformed, may I say? You get transformed into the likeness of him. And so you not only hear what God's will is, but you become so communed with God, so connected with God, that will becomes your will. That what you do is what God wants. So that's what happens. When you're with God, you are changed. And I'm talking about a true transformation. So you're a different person. Okay? You don't act the same way you did before. Jesus did this repeatedly to show us we're supposed to be followers of Jesus, so we're following Jesus in this way. So if he runs away and goes to be with God and is transformed, and he's the perfect human, supposedly, then maybe we should probably do that too, right? Because we're all going to face those desperate times, I think. Has any of you already faced a desperate time in your life, where it was hard to make the right decision? Now keep your hands up. Has any of you failed in that desperate time? I'm going to leave my hand up too. Put them down. Those desperate times are difficult because a lot rides on your decision. A lot of pressures are going on you. You know, peer pressure. We hear about it all the time, but it's real. To be popular, to be cool, to please other people. We do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't normally do. A lot of us find ourselves at a party, and people offer us just simply, you know, hey, here's some alcohol. You want to sip? Or, you know, here's a cigarette. You want to try? And it's so easy just to blend in. Just do what people want you to do. Because, you know, that's so easy. And you know what? You can just stop right after. You tell yourself, well, I'll just do this once, and that'll be it. Or you know what? I'm with this girl, and I'm really attracted to her, and, you know, if I just go a little farther, I won't do it again. Just do it this one time, because I think that's what she wants, and that's what I want, so we'll just take it a little farther than we would regularly, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Those desperate times in our life require great preparation. It don't only require great preparation, but require great transformation. And that transformation is only going to happen when we spend time with God. Did you know that God does not force himself upon you? I think that's really cool. God doesn't force you to do his will. God doesn't force you to be like him, but God asks you. Not because he likes people to be mindless people that do whatever he wants, but because God's will is the right will. It's the perfect will. It's the will that brings you into an abundant life, a life that's worth living, a story that's worth living. And when we follow God, we're following the path that we were meant to walk. So I hope you don't think of God as someone who's just ordering you around, but God's trying to guide you to the place that you are meant to be. Okay? So when Jesus went to God and spent time with God, he was transformed. Just like Moses. Do you remember when Moses went up to the mountain and he saw the backside of God? What happened when he came back down the mountain? You remember? His face was glowing because he had seen God. His face was transformed. And I think that transformation can still happen. I think it can happen in your life, in each of your life. So when you're faced with those hard situations, because you will be faced with those situations, you will follow God's will. And it won't be easy, but you'll do it because God has prepared you. Okay? So I hope that you, when those times arise, which they will, and sometimes God will call you to those times, those places in life that you wouldn't be caught dead. You wouldn't be caught dead hanging out with that guy or that girl. But God calls you to be a friend, a loving person to that person. You know, God will lead you to crazy places in life. I think Gabe can agree. Gabe would not be a church music major. Gabe would not want to be a youth and music minister here. But you know what? Gabe is following God's will. And God's will is taking him to crazy and weird and taking him to an abandoned grocery store. But you know what? We all know that awesome things happen in this abandoned grocery store. And Gabe knows that awesome stuff is happening in this grocery store because awesome things happen to Gabe all the time already. So I hope that you will say, but not my will, God, but your will be done. Because you have prepared. So when you face those desperate times, that you